There you go. Good
Nada,
morning, George.
good morning, Nada. It's really nice to see you today. I'm very excited for this conversation. We've got to know each other quite well over the last couple of years, and I'm very excited by this excursion, if we can call it that, to the Great Pyramids of Bosnia that we're going to do together. Why don't you share a little bit about, because you come from this part of the world and you've been there many times, and I'd like you to share a little bit about these pyramids with the audience, because I'm very excited to come for the first time for the summer solstice with you in
Sure.
2024.
Sure. So I am born Croat. So I was born in Zagreb in Croatia, and in that former Yugoslavia, which is now kind of different countries. But we are all so closely knit and connected, nevertheless. And about 5, 6 years ago, I have encountered some videos about these unusual findings in Bosnia. And eventually, I went there with a couple friends and family and met with Dr. Sam Osmanagic, who is the person that has actually discovered those pyramids by chance. Well, nothing is chance, right? And he is such an incredible human being and full of knowledge that will explain to us when we are there in person everything about the findings and what he has discovered there. What he has done, he has invited the world, the science of the world, to come there and to help him determine what have we got here. And they did come. So from the known names from Egypt to Russia to all over the world, they came. They brought their instruments and they determined, indeed, these are pyramids. And then because of the perfection of the shapes, especially the Sun Pyramid, which is the largest pyramid
Huge.
in
I
the
mean,
valley.
it's as big as the one in Giza. That's what's so
You can
remarkable.
you can fit the
Yeah.
the Giza one inside the Sun Pyramid of Bosnia. That's what they have determined. Of course, it is all overgrown with forestry and greenery, so it is harder to detect unless you have the eye to understand those angles, the perfect angles of a pyramid. Deforestation has happened, I believe, in the 60s. They were just planting trees everywhere under Tito.
Yeah. Yeah.
So besides finding the pyramids and determining that these are pyramids and finding these huge concrete blocks that they tested, and they found out that the cement that they used in building those, it's much stronger than anything we know or have on this planet. Okay, so where did it come from, right? And then how old are they? They took some samples of rock and soil within those rocks that they kind of were able to excavate. And the testing determined that it was over 30,000 years old, just from what they found there. The interesting component is that the Karelian photography, which was coming from Russia, right? And I forgot the name of that scientist that Dr. Sam is very good friends with. They came and took the aura or Karelian photography of the environment. So what they saw is that the aura or the energy field around the regular mountains around the neighborhood went horizontal. But when you
Yeah.
came to the pyramid, it went straight up like a beam,
Yeah.
very potent light beam. Then they measured the energy within that beam. They sent out drones. And what those drones found is that in certain areas, it was broader and it was then going narrower. It was basically mimicking the DNA strand, right? It was going in waves. And the higher it went, the stronger the energy was. And inside those tunnels, because once all of that was discovered and the local government was all about it and for it, but yet then some certain energies of the world stepped in and they said, no, this is all fake, this is false, this doesn't exist, blah, blah, blah. So they could not continue digging in or on the site of the pyramid. So what Dr. Sam did, he bought the land adjacent, close to the pyramid. I don't know how many acres, which was basically swamp, and they use it as dump land or whatever. But on that, he bought it and created a foundation, a nonprofit organization, which would then develop and fund all of the continued work on the pyramids there.
Yes, but what's exciting, obviously, about the trip we're doing is you have special access to the tunnels, don't you? So we can actually do ceremonies in the tunnels and accessing the sacred water. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes. So what they have discovered with time, especially during this COVID time, when foreigners couldn't come, local people went inside those tunnels, of which there is now 3 kilometers deep that they excavated. And they would sit there by the megalith, those stones that are placed in certain places. And they are like little rooms where you can sit around and just be in that energy. They felt there was an energy there. They tried to do some personal kind of, energy resistance testing with the hands and so on. When they came out, they felt different. They felt better. And also they took the aura photography before going into the tunnels and then coming out. In the aura photography, you can see where something is going on in the body, in the energy field. So there are gaps or different, literally gaps. All of these people, I think they did about 800 or more people that they took the photo off, and then they came back. There were no gaps, just after being there for an hour or two. So all of a sudden, these people were experiencing all kinds of, healings.
So really, what just so people can really get the ball over the net here, we're not just going to look at pyramids. We're actually going to experience some vibrational healing system, which is a very ancient system, which has been forgotten in the collective psyche for a number of thousands of years. And it's this reconnection with it, whether it's the pyramids of Giza or even the pyramids I went to in North Georgia, United States, the other day, and the ones in Bosnia, that there are these sacred ley lines with these ancient buildings on, and obviously the ones in Bosnia are very significant. So it's going to be very exciting, to really experience centropy, which is obviously the opposite of entropy, or in a site like this. And it'll be quite fun, as we discussed privately, doing some testing with water and seeing how we can activate structured water there, and seeing what the remedial healing qualities of that water is going to be, empirically testing it within our community there.
Yeah, and I can elaborate a little bit on why and how it's happening.
Yes.
So I've mentioned that there are these megaliths or stones that are kind of egg-shaped, positioned in certain areas throughout the tunnel system.
Yes.
And they are always placed where the ley lines cross.
Yeah.
So wherever the ley lines cross, we know is not good energy for us as humans. So what they did, whoever that intelligence was, they created these like eggs, egg-like shaped.
To absorb.
The larger ones, they're small to large ones. There's one that is like 2 tons from what I know, and we've sat around that one. So they built this base. Inside that base, they placed crystal, and then they covered it up with another cover, literally like the Easter egg. Now that material is like porcelain, but very strong porcelain. And on that, there are some writings. They look like hieroglyphic writings, but yet different. And they have meaning and messages, of course, for whoever discovers them. Underneath each one of these stones, about 75 meters deep, there's water. They found water. And what they found through digging several other additional tunnels, they came to water where the water was sitting there. No entrance point, no exit point. Now you would think that water would be stale or full of bacteria. Yep. They tested it, but it wasn't. It was actually the opposite. It was a molecularly enhancing water, a healing water. So you can buy little bottles of that water there as well, and you put it in your big bottle of water, just a few drops, and you have change. You drink it, and you are
I mean, in some
absolutely.
ways, speaking to the traditional religions, I mean, I think, this to me is what holy water has always been.
Yes.
And it's a much more expansive, galactic in one sense, understanding of ontology of how we're here and who we are. So
Yeah.
that's what's also exciting, because I think, with having access to a pyramid like this, which is less touristic than, say, Giza, less restricted in some ways, we're going to be able to get a sense of the natural energy flow of it. And especially as we're going to introduce things like toning, humming, singing, chanting, certain mantras and prayers, where obviously music is fluid architecture, and architecture is frozen music. So being able to enter the space, a sacred space, and share together is going to be a very potent experience for us all.
Yes. And mentioning the sound,
Mm.
Dr. Sam brought in some scientists with their very fine-tuned equipment, and they recorded that the pyramids make a sound.
Yeah.
They sing,
Yeah.
and the tones are different from summer to winter,
Yes.
right? They become either deeper or lighter, and they recorded that on top of the Sun Pyramid. So, imagine what is in there. But as he said before, as they were measuring all these things, they get much stronger as they go further up.
I mean, the sound always travels. I mean, I'm here in the mountains of North Carolina, and it was 22 degrees
Mm,
Fahrenheit two nights ago. The sound travels much faster in a colder climate than the warm, because the warm has more humidity to block it. And
yeah,
obviously, that's just a natural thing for humans to understand. But then the pyramids given up another sort of vibrational effects, to do with the electromagnetic spectrum and all the different sort of influences, because everything is electric really at the end of the day,
yeah,
and really these are giant conductors,
yeah. And you know what? When you walk inside those tunnels, doesn't matter how deep you go, you can still breathe normally.
Yeah.
Nothing changes, and the temperature is steady. I think it's 75 degrees
Yeah.
completely throughout, whether it's winter or summer. And there is no EMF intrusion. There is nothing external that enters there. There is like a shield around them that completely shields you from it, and your phone will not work in there, for example.
Yeah, no, it's a giant Faraday cage. I mean, it's very interesting when I wrote my book, The Boy and the Boy King, because I mean, I wrote it 7 years ago. And, in the images, I always draw those lights coming out of the pyramids. And I think in our psyche, all of us human beings have known that we've been told a massive lie about what those pyramids are, built by slaves. Absolute nonsense. And I think, the Pluto in Aquarius is really being open to a totally re-understanding, a reinvention of our belief system and who we are, our own history, civilizational history, ontology, and philosophy, and dare I say it, religion. And I think going to someone like these pyramids is really going to open up the box in the most magnificent way. Can you share a little bit more just about the arc of the whole the holiday leading up, the traveling through Croatia,
Yes.
sharing some of the things we're going to do on this trip?
Yes. Yes. Well, the whole trip is built around summer solstice because we want to be at the pyramids, in the pyramids, or the tunnels during that time, which would be like, I think it's the 21st, 22nd, those couple days. And in Croatia, we have the opportunity to go to a short excursion for about 4 days to the coast, to the northern coast of Croatia, which is the Istrian Peninsula, which is beautiful in itself. And it has a lot to offer. Of course, everywhere we go, there are energy vortexes, and they built like in the middle of a olive garden. There is this little church chapel that is stone built, because obviously we're on the coast, so there's a lot of stone. And it is known that it carries the energy of the female energy, because a lot of female issues have been resolved when women come there and do their petitions or just be in that energy. And we have the opportunity to stop in such places and do a meditation or whatever you see fit to do there. And then we also visit the Postojna caves. They are 25 kilometers deep with stalagmites and stalactites and very ancient. Do you remember just not too long ago, I believe it was it JC or was it JP or like Dr. Sala? There is one of those giants close by in the Slovenian mountains. I wonder if this is part of that. That would be amazing and wouldn't surprise me at all. Because, I think what we can access is not what is there. There's much more there. But, who knows? There are surprises everywhere. The Plitvice Lakes, 16 lakes naturally.
Are those the ones with the waterfalls?
Yes, 16 lakes naturally. Yeah, flowing into each other. Turquoise, pristine waters. It is fairyland all over. I mean, you just, you cannot but be completely engulfed into the energy and the essence of the beauty of that. That
I think one thing for people to understand is because, we have all grown up in a society where we have to basically use science as a way to prove any form of existence, any form of understanding. It has to be through the scientific lens. And I always want to say to people who only do it through the scientific lens and have no faith, belief, they are not able to alchemize, they're not able to transmute, they're not able to divine, they're not able to experience what the ancients understood, because that alchemical process is part of that right hemispheric brain on the other side of the corpus callosum, which is antithetical to logic. And it's the amalgamation of the left and the right hemispheres of the brain, which for me is very important as we go to these pyramids. It isn't just about the science. It really isn't. It's much bigger than the science. And when people say the science is settled and it's just a science, they really are only, working still within a materialistic, Cartesian paradigm. And the whole point of visiting these pyramids is really we're going way beyond it. We're amalgamating, we're bringing science and we're updating it. We're going into the quantum field and coming to beautiful Croatia with you, and coming to the Bosnian pyramids is going to be really powerful in opening up that dialectic to the new paradigm.
Absolutely. And by the way, I want to mention that, Nikola Tesla was born in the region of the lakes, which is about 120 kilometers direct line to the pyramids, and what was he studying and doing and, bringing to us.
Will we have chance to go and see his hometown or not?
We can. There is just a little
there's not much there.
Kind of little house. There's nothing there really. There's nothing there.
Nothing yet.
To see. Not yet. Correct. But we are in the environment. Those lakes. This is where he.
So we'll do lots of water therapy and we'll be working with light protocols and water protocols during the event. We'll be bringing certain crystal instruments to help activate everyone too.
Yeah. We have the opportunity to float for about an hour or so on a beautiful river, local river, the River Kupa, the Green River, on a replica of an ancient barge that used to be there, in that stillness, in the nature, or bathe in that river, or bathe in the ocean, in the not Atlantic, it's the Adriatic, right? And then on the other side, when we go to Sarajevo, the ancient city of where all the cultures merge, the East and West meets. We're staying in a boutique hotel right there at that. Across the street is the core of Sarajevo, with all of its beauty, history, bazaars, coffee shops, and all of that. Mostar, we go to Mostar.
Isn't there a famous bridge?
Yes, that's the Arched Bridge.
Exactly.
That was 2,000 years old. It's over 2,000 years old. Of course, that was a target, but it's there.
They've rebuilt it, haven't they?
Yes, it is rebuilt.
I remember when I went straight after, the bombing. I was in Yugoslavia right after the war, and it had been destroyed, which was so sad to see. But I can't wait to revisit visit. Can you also tell us a little bit about Medjugorje? I went there many years ago, so we'll get a day there too, won't we?
Yes, we do. We do. We do a side trip for 2 days, visiting Mostar and then Medjugorje, because they are right after each other. Medjugorje, you know, I think most people know by now, it's this magical place where 1981, I believe, or 86, Mother Mary appeared to 6 children in this rugged terrain in a little town that had maybe two handful of houses, and children and elderly were living there. All the adults that were, you know, capable to work, they went to Germany or somewhere else to provide, because it's a very rugged terrain. Yet these children met with this magical lady that was conversing with them they were in a bubble. So they were talking with her, she was talking with them, but nobody could hear what they could see their mouth moving, but they couldn't see any or hear anything. So now, since then, there are over 2 million people from all over the world that go there to that mount of operations, because the locations of the operations changed because they were chased by the police, so they had to hide and change every day. But that whole rugged mountain or mount, which they call the Mount of Operations, is stone, little shrubs that are, you know, kind of probably have thorns on them and stuff. It's very difficult terrain to walk through, but yet I have seen quadriplegic people climbing there. And I've seen people that were brought there by Sherpas for free, just to sit in the essence of that energy. And if you can take and see the energy, the aura of that space, it's all green.
Yes.
It's all heart. It's all heart. It's just incredibly embracing and loving. So another place to stop and to contemplate or meditate, yes, or do something special right there.
So I think what's going to make this whole trip so special is it's a real mixture of activation and reception, a real mixture of really being active in the pyramids and in the waters and all the different places, but also to be able to be bathed and received and supported in this ancient nature and the beautiful coastline. So I think it's going to be a wonderful trip for people.
And of course, let's not forget, we're going to be fed authentic domestic food that is grown in you know, in their gardens and prepared, you know, in a heart space. Anyway.
Well, that's one of your many talents, is really understanding food. And you know, your Capricorn energy of loving and creating through earth is testament to that. So, you know, I know we'll all eat very well, and it's that beauty of being able to eat well, healthily, but also enjoyably. You know, often in life, if we eat well, it can become a little bit you know, severe. The food can sometimes not be so tasty, where I find, you know, I know on this trip it's going to be as tasty as it is healthy.
Well, it's going to be locally grown and locally prepared. So I would say this trip definitely encompasses everything: the nourishing of the body, the spirit, and the soul. Everything is being completely addressed in this trip. And it is mostly nature. I mean, we're spending all of our time in nature. So I would just like to mention that, you know, you need to be prepared for hiking. Like around the lakes, we hiked 5 hours, you know, and there's some incline. It's not that you're climbing rocks, but there is incline and so on. You have to be prepared to be able to walk that long. And
what would you say is the best way for people to be in touch with us, with you, to get on the list and to inquire further?
Yeah, well, they can send us an email, or they can go to the Nadona International. We will post it, I think, in adjacent to this recording. And we are also preparing a mailing, like an email, which will contain all the information where you can find out the itinerary, where you can
the website. If you could just name the website. It's Nada.
Yes, it's Nadona International.com. NadonaInternational.com.
That's brilliant.
Do I need to spell it?
Well, no, we'll write it in the
Yeah.
in the links below.
Yes, yes. And, they can call you, they can call
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
and we will have that readily available for everybody. And I would urge everybody who is interested to secure their spot, because, there's space is limited. We don't have, place for 50 or 100 people or so on. It's a
We want,
limited small group.
we want to keep it quite tight, you know.
Yes. So if you're interested, this would be the time to sign up and put your deposit down and register and ask your question, then slowly prepare for the trip.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Nada, thank you. I'm so looking forward to doing this with you. It's going to be a trip of a lifetime for me as much as anyone else.
I think it's going to be an exceptional trip for me too. And I'm looking forward to embracing everybody that is going to join us on that trip. So, yeah, thank you.
Well, thank
And
you so much.
thank
Yeah,
you. It's an honor.
it's
Have a
worth.
wonderful
Me
day.
too. You too. Lots of love.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.